On today's Reveal Report, we begin with a little bit of humorous poetic justice as a Massachusetts lady protesting ICE arrest happened to forget to put her vehicle in park and just happened to submerge it in a lake. Also, we talk about Trump's 20-point plan to try to secure peace at Gaza. We also talk about how today is hurrah! It is government shutdown day. And we're going to slash through all the radical leftist nonsense and give you the facts. We also talk about how Eric Adams has dropped out of the New York City mayoral race and how that puts a close, tight race between Andrew Cuomo and Mandanai. We also talk about UK's push for digital ID upon its workers. We're also going to talk about the Department of Defense being moved to the Department of War and how this does not break the Trump doctrine of peace through strength. Welcome back to the Revealed Report. I'm your host, John Wilson. Let's get into it. If you like the content of today's episode and you would like to help further our mission, do us a favor, smash the subscribe button or gently tap it. It all works the same. Give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share us with somebody else. Thank you for your support. Just a brief note to the radical left. If you're going to go out and protest ICE arrests, just remember you need to put your car in park first. The Massachusetts lady was protesting ICE arrests and totally forgot to put her car in park and just happened to submerge the vehicle inside of the lake. Now, we have seen over and over again as these radical leftists who don't have a clue about anything in reality go absolutely insane in the Trump derangement syndrome. And now you can see they forget to put their vehicle in park. And when you learn how to put your vehicle in park when you go to protest the ICE arrest, maybe you can learn the actual facts about what's going on in our world today and how these ICE agents are trying to secure our nation so we do not have more Laken Rileys and the other ones being brutally attacked and fentanyl's not coming across our border. And when you learn that, maybe you'll learn not to vote for Calamity Commie Harris, to defund the police, and those that say they're out for your good, but are out to actually enslave you. Just a note to the radical left. Anyways, we want to talk about Trump's 20-point plan and the secure peace at Gaza. We're not going to dive into all of that today. We're just going to briefly say that it pretty much comes to the sum of this, that they better hand over the hostages. And if they don't, Israel is at the door of Gaza, and Trump's going to let them finish the mission and the plan. He's going to let them finish the job, which means Israel's going to take all of that land and they're going to drive them completely out. And I know that goes against our modern idea because we have a weak soft society that doesn't understand. Historically, war was fought by trying to suck the air out of the room and trying to make people go, stop, stop, whatever, and wave the white flag. And actually, you save more lives by not carrying on a war year after year after year. If you really want to stop a war, then you have to be able to muscle up, go in strong, and fight it. You know, I know we want to rewrite history and we want to demonize what Harry Truman did in World War II with the dropping of the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but that strength actually helped bring the war to an end. And if the war would have continued, more lives would have been lost. I know in today's society we have become so overly diplomatic that we forgot how wars are actually fought. And we believe in this pacifistic idea that there's never going to be any wars. And this is because when we buy in to radical leftist humanism, we believe that humanity is somehow overnight not going to be evil anymore. But the truth of the matter is, in all humanity, there is good and there is evil. Even James Madison understood this when he was writing, and he was saying that we need a limited government because men are not angels. Humanity are not angels. We have some good in us and we have some evil in us. And we believe this as Bible believers. We believe that in our flesh dwelleth no good thing, and we need the Spirit of God to help us bring it under subjection. With that, we need to discipline our flesh by the help of God. But when you drift into radical leftist humanism, what happens is you believe that if you legislate enough laws, and if you begin to educate people with social justice ideas, then you can make people not evil overnight, and everybody's going to sing kumbaya and everybody's going to get along. If you buy into the postmodern idea where everybody can have their subjective truth and everybody has to respect everybody else's subjective truth, somehow we're all going to get along as we become little gods and goddesses. But as you can see, really what that means is the radical left says you have to accept our ideas and we will run your ideas out. And if we can't run your ideas out, then maybe we'll just end your life and we'll get rid of your voice altogether. And so that's the leftist lie. And they think that they can try to make humanity become perfect angels overnight when humanity has a mixture of good and evil in them. And it's up to us to see which power is going to win. Are we going to let evil win? Or are we going to let good win? And so war historically has been fought by one side muscling up and winning the war. But now we live in an age where we tell Israel that they can't win a war. They're the only country, the only nation that exists that cannot win a war. And yet some people will push that Ukraine needs to win the war, but Israel needs to lose the war. And there's all types of different opinions on both the Ukraine-Russian war and the Israel and Palestinian battle that's going on. And yet we have some what I call so-called conservative reprobates on the right side of the aisle that's joining league with the left to demonize the same ones that says to the river to the sea wants to end Israel altogether, and are also the same ones that says death to America because they hate the ideas of the West and they want to eliminate the ideas of the West. We're not buying into those lies. And so Trump is pretty much saying hand over the hostages or else we're going to take our hands off and Israel's going to be able to do their job and they're going to end this war. And now I want to talk about how today is government shutdown day. And the radical leftist media outlets are going to tell you that all the Republicans are so bad and they're going to starve people and they're going to kill people and everybody's going to die because we're not getting the government handouts that the radical left wants to push, because the Republicans realize that every time the radical left doesn't want to shut down the government, there's a whole lot of trillions of dollars that are going to be wasted that's selling our future generations down the river. And so to really give you a clear understanding of our feeling on this, I want to read an article that I put out yesterday called Shutdown or Showdown, and it's a Revealed Dispatch article. And so I quote, "If you've been wondering where all the clowns went after the last circus left town, don't worry. They just moved to Washington, D.C. And instead of juggling bowling pins, they're juggling your tax dollars and veterans' benefits. Welcome to the government shutdown debate of 2025. Part political stunt, part hostage negotiation, and entirely ridiculous. Here's the trick. Democrats march into the House floor, slap down a stack of must-fund goodies, welfare expansion, climate subsidies, and taxpayer-funded media megaphones, and say, fund these or grandma doesn't get her check. It's like watching a toddler hold the cookie jar hostage until you promise them ice cream for dinner. Except in this case, the toddler runs the Senate, and the ice cream comes with a lifetime of bills you can't pay. Veterans' benefits are what gets hurt on the chopping block, while the left pats itself on the back for standing tall. Sorry, Joe from Kansas, your VA appointment can wait. Apparently, PBS reruns matter more. Border Patrol. Imagine telling agents already overwhelmed by fentanyl gangs and illegal crossings, sorry guys, no paycheck this week, but good news, we're funding gender studies programs abroad. Law enforcement and seniors, because nothing screams justice for all like telling police and retirees their collateral damage in a budget tantrum. The left talks compassion while drafting spending lists longer than a CVS receipt. And who's footing the bill? You and me and our grandkids, if we still have a country left by then. Republicans finally are holding the line. We'll see. For once, conservatives aren't blinking as of right now, even though they usually back down because they tend to be cowards when the radical left goes out and paints the picture that they're going to starve grandma to death. But right as of now, the House passed a clean continuing resolution to keep essential government funded. No socialist sprinkles, no Marxist cherry on top. The GOP said, let's fund what matters and kick the radical extras to the curb. Naturally, Democrats called this hostage taking, which is hilarious considering they're the ones duct taping veterans and Border Patrol agents to their spending wish list. The less funding script? Blame the GOP. You can almost set your watch by it. Every time the Democrats dig in their heels, the media runs with Republicans shut down the government. It's like Groundhog Day, but instead of a rodent predicting spring, it's CNN predicting doom. Unless we all clap harder for socialist spending. Spoiler alert, the American people, by large, are not buying it anymore. Let's look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about a shutdown, it's about control. The left wants to set the precedent that every funding bill must come with ideological ransom notes. Give them this win, and the administrative state balloons into an untouchable leviathan, fattened on your paycheck. Meanwhile, conservatives are saying something radical. Maybe, just maybe, government should stick to its constitutional job instead of micromanaging everything from your gas stove to your pronouns. Crazy idea, right? Conclusion, don't blink, don't budge. The truth is simple. If Democrats want a shutdown, let them own it. Republicans should not flinch, not fold, and not apologize for refusing to bankroll woke wish list. We voted President Trump in to get rid of that. The stakes are high if the GOP caves. The left wins not just a battle, but the whole war for the soul of American governance. But if conservatives hold the line, maybe, just maybe, the circus eventually packs up and leaves for good. Until then, keep your wallets close and your sarcasm sharper, because in Washington, the show never ends, and the ticket price is always your tax dollars. You see, the radical left has always painted the picture that the Republicans are selling the seniors out and selling everybody out. But the truth of the matter is, they want you to bankroll all their wokeist ideology. They always pack in a bunch of fat, which is gender studies and every other woke thing that we voted the Republican side of the aisle in to get rid of. And so we need not to buy into the lies and to put pressure upon the GOP to cower down like they have always done. That's why our nation is slowly deteriorating away. And I know it's been a problem with both the left and the right, but at some point we got to get rid of all the printing of money. We are going so far in debt that we are already breaking the laws of economy. When the debt to service the debt is greater than the Department of Defense, usually your country is going to fall historically. And we've already gone beyond that. We are just living by the grace and the mercy of God at this point. I also want to talk about a big issue that's going on in the UK, and why it's important is because the UK sometimes puts pressure on our nation. The UK is pushing for government digital IDs for its worker. If you want to work, you have to have a government digital ID. The problem with this is this is the same crazy ones that were pushing for digital currency, digital ID. They were also pushing for ESG scoring. They were pushing for the Great Reset. They were trying to push us into a place that if we did not believe in climate change, if we did not believe in social justice, all this social justice junk of trying to radicalize our people into Marxists and buying into lies to stoke the flames of racial tension, and then come out to try to virtue signal to everybody else that we're good people at the expense of crushing down businesses that would not go woke, crushing middle class businesses and shuttering the doors of our churches, then you were going to be suppressed. You were going to lose your ability to buy or sell. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds kind of like Revelation chapter 13. Unless you get in bed with Mother Babylon, then you become rich on the abundance of her delicacies. This is the same ones that had the mindset like Canada, who shut down the trucker protests by freezing bank assets and accounts, controlling what they can buy and what they can sell. You see, the governments, and the United States was going down the same road under Lion Joe Biden and Calamity Kamala Harris, exactly what the UK wanted to do, exactly what Klaus Schwab and all of the World Economic Forum was pushing for, what Bill Gates was pushing for, is that the governments begin to take control with the capitalist major corporations, and that the corporations begin to do the dirty work of the governments to push ESG scoring, digital workers' IDs, digital bank accounts, digital footprints to see whether or not you fit into getting a good credit score based on your ESG score and not on the old system of credit scoring so that they could suppress your speech, suppress your rights, begin to take away your freedom, take away your liberty. It's the same people that want to send out their Facebook police and try to arrest you at your door if you begin to speak out against communities you don't believe in. If you don't agree with the LGBTQ2 plus community, you are deemed as enacting hate speech, and they can come to your doorstep and they can arrest you. This is all the push of the UK, and the radical left that used to be in power was going into the same ideology and trying to push that down on the American people, which would have absolutely crushed our nation. And that's why the American people woke up, went to the ballot box, and they voted President Trump in. There was a red wave, and because we wanted to get rid of this madness. And now the UK is pushing it, and they would like the virtue signal, and they would like to put pressure on us in the United States of America. And we even seen where over there, they were arresting the comedian and they were putting pressure even on the United States. And so I think if they're going to do these things, then I think Trump should muscle up on them economically, because we are not going to buy into foreign or domestic threats. That's what the United States Constitution says, that we are to stand in defense of our freedoms against foreign and domestic threats. Now, that doesn't mean go to war. There's ways we do that nowadays. We can pressure them. And I believe President Trump and JD Vance is doing a wonderful job at being strong and even talking to them about the value of freedom of speech and muscling up on them. We've seen Trump go right down there into the Shark Tank and begin to boldly speak what is happening at the United Nations, and I thank God for that. But there's gullible, weak people that want to demonize the strength of Donald Trump, who is trying to stand for freedom for America. And yes, unfortunately, there is interconnection of our nations today, especially being joined with the United Nations. There's interconnection, and there's pressure that comes down to the United Nations. And so I'm glad we have a strong leader that is representing our nation at the table. And so I believe the UK's digital ID is very dangerous for the UK. And I believe that if they push that, there's going to be pressure upon other nations. And eventually what happens is evil begins to collectively come together and tries to fight against the good. And so that's why we must have a strong leader. That's why we cannot have another Calamity Kamala Harris or a J.B. Pritzker or a Gavin Newsom in office. We must have strong leadership. And the radical left does not believe in strong leadership. They are weak, and they show weakness on the world stage. And they actually incentivize people like Vladimir Putin to go in and invade Ukraine. They also have Afghanistan debacles where they get our men and women killed because of their ignorant decisions. And so thank God we have strength on the world stage representing our nation. Eric Adams drops out of the New York City mayoral race. I hate that. That leaves a narrow race between Andrew Cuomo and Mandanai. And I can't say this because once upon a time, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Once upon a time, I stood against Andrew Cuomo, and I actually predicted his fall right from the pulpit of our church. I predicted that he would fall because when he said that God didn't do it, we flattened the curve of COVID by our decisions, and God had nothing to do with it. I said it's just a matter of time he's going to fall, and eventually he did. He was in those allegations and those scandals, and all of a sudden he began to fall from his power. But I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think New York City would be much better off with Andrew Cuomo than Mom Donnie, who is the very embodiment of the radical left. He is the very embodiment of Islam and Marxism coming together, which has nothing in common with one another. They just use each other to try to destroy the West, to try to destroy Israel, to try to destroy the United States, to destroy the principles of the West. And New York City, can I remind you, has all the conspiracy theorists got to you that you don't believe that bin Laden and radical Islam had anything to do with the Twin Towers falling? We can talk about 9/11. We can talk about all of the conspiracies. That's fine. I don't have a problem. I'm not going to condemn talking about those things. But to say that radical Islamist jihadists had nothing to do with it is radically insane. New York City, have you forgotten 9/11? Or is it a young generation that wasn't old enough to remember where they were when the Twin Towers fell? I remember exactly where I was at, and I'm saying, New Yorkers, please wake up. You're better off with Andrew Cuomo than Mom Donnie. Now, Trump moves the Department of Defense to the Department of War, and I think this is a good thing. This is sending a signal of strength to the nations. Now, some would say. Well, that is breaking the Trump doctrine of peace through strength. No, it's not. Because the truth of the matter is, war is something you try to prevent. You try to prevent war. You try to prevent war through strong action. Sometimes that means taking out terrorist leaders. Sometimes that means if you don't give us the hostage, we're going to let our ally do its job. You have to have strength to bring peace. However, there are times, there are to all things under the sun. If you're a Bible believer, there are seasons. There are seasons of war and there are seasons of peace. And so Trump understands if you're going to have peace, you've got to have a strong military that is able to go to war whenever needed. And so he has enhanced our nuclear power, which I believe we need to. I know there's Tucker Carlson's and others that says everybody needs to get rid of their nuclear power. So we're going to start with us first. I'm paraphrasing. Allegedly, this is what he believes. This is what it seems like he believes. And Tucker, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But you're going radically the other side. You're no longer a conservative. Just take the hat off, my friend. Because they believe that we need to get rid of our nuclear power and so we can lead the world and inspire the world to get rid of theirs. They're not going to get rid of theirs. People that are evil are going to be evil. And no matter how many laws or how many motions you put in place or whatever you do, you're not going to stop evil people if that's what's in their heart. And as Bible believers, we should understand that it's a moral problem. It's a spiritual, moral, and mental sickness that has taken place. And that's why you can't legislate it out of their heart. And so if evil people are going to have that power, we must have that power too, so we can stand in defense of our people. To get rid of that is to be bad stewards over the peace of our nation. And so I'm glad that Trump is enhancing our military power. I'm glad that Pete Hegseth is where he's at, enhancing our military power. Because without it, evil's going to win and the light is going to be snuffed out. And so eventually we'll see that darkness will begin to overconsume until we're taken over because we do not have the ability to stand in defense of our freedoms, our liberties, and our sacred rights that God has endowed to us. Government was instituted to protect these rights, and part of that is being strong. Part of that's being able to go to war if you must. We want that as a last resort, but we need the ability to go in the time that we need it. So we need a strong military, and thank God President Trump and Pete Hegseth believe in a strong military. And also, they're having meetings with one another. And Trump is sending the signal. Even though we want peace, we can go to war if that's what you want. We can defeat you if that's what you're asking for. And Trump and Pete Hegseth are having meetings to really cut out the administrative state that's trying to control our military and make sure that in the military, what the commander in chief wants to happen is happening. That's why we voted him in. So thank God Trump, Pete Hegseth are trying to ensure that the departments of the military, the leaders all the way down, are engaging in exactly what Trump, the commander in chief, says they need to be doing. And that's exactly why we voted for President Trump, regardless of what all the radical leftist media outlets want to tell you. And so I thank God that we have President Trump on the main stage representing our nation at the national level and the world level. And I thank God he's trying to handle the very issues in the Middle East, and I support his plans. I'll talk later about some things that maybe I would tweak, maybe I wish was a little bit different, but none of us agree on everything exactly the same. We don't dot every I and cross every T the same way. But overall, I absolutely support what Trump's doing with his 20-point Gaza plan. Well, America, I love you. God bless you.